Okay, so let's just get this out of the way now. I really like Mirror's Edge. I love the way it uses color in a unique way like no other games have done. And although its story is severely lacking, which I'll get more into later, I liked it quite a bit, and I'm very excited for the sequel. I guess are expressed through red color, which makes it super easy to find your way, although sometimes the game gets kind of sketchy and doesn't put red points at some places until you're really close, which is just really confusing and something that should be fixed. The game's story is pretty bad actually, with all the cutscenes being rendered in this weird watercolor way. It shouldn't even be that way, honestly. Although, in the end, they do use an in-game engine, and it looks just as bad. So, how bad do you want it? It'd be better off if they did it all in first person, honestly. So, in the sequel, the story definitely needs to be bumped up. In this game, the story is all about Kate, Faith's sister, who is framed for committing a murder dealing with the new election. Faith is on a mission to clear her sister's name and take down the... Oh, that's kind of a spoiler. Okay, so let's get into spoilers now. The second half of the game, I actually was a little bit intrigued by the story. The fact that they were sending out those people to hunt down the runners. But then again, with the reveal of her friend Chell, I think that's how you pronounce her name, being the actual villain, it caught me kind of off guard and didn't make a lot of sense, honestly. She tried to warn her, but then everyone in the game was warning each other. Like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. It had me a bit intrigued when they displayed all their names. I thought it was really clever about where it could go. But for the sequel, it doesn't make much sense. The sequel is supposed to be a prequel, as you can kind of see in this thing right here, trailer. And I'm pretty excited for it. I hope they clear up those issues. The issues with the red and stuff are fine. But otherwise, the parkour looked great. I actually was really impressed. I didn't get motion sickness at all, and the parts where arms just come into frame are amazing. And makes you feel like you're really that person, just for that little bit, too. One of my pet peeves with games is when you can't see the player's arms when you're clearly looking straight at their arm. But this game does that perfectly. You can see pretty much her whole body by looking where it would correspond if you look down. Her feet are where her feet are supposed to be, and they're in the correct position. Like I said, the ending is pretty awful, which, spoiler alert, she narrowly gets her sister from a helicopter, and while the guy's message, "you need to run, Faith," is pretty clever with how she defeats him, she kind of just kicks him out a window. Kicks him out of the helicopter, I guess, not through a window. But then stuff just starts happening. I'm like, what's going on here, guys? You could have done better than this. And then her sister just hanging on, and you gotta go save the day again. Oh no, her sister saved, everyone's safe. Oh yeah, fade credits. Put that awesome Still Alive song on, done. And then they just walk out. They're just like... But this is a big change for the studio of DICE. DICE is known for doing the Battlefield franchise, which is a totally different game. Mirror's Edge has no multiplayer, unless you're talking about leaderboards, which you can do for time trials, which are pretty fun, and can lead to you improving your time by quite a bit. The speedrunning community for this game is actually pretty active right after it came out. Obviously, 5 or 6 years later, there's not much of a community added anymore. But seeing people play it with Oculus Rift makes me really excited, because hopefully they can squeeze that in, even if it's with Project Morpheus from Sony. I played this on Xbox 360, and while her arms do look like grandma arms when she's up against the surface, I don't know what's up with that, shading issues, it was pretty bad, and it looked pretty hilarious. And with the occasional rats running around, which really make no sense, kind of, this is just dumb atmosphere things that were just my personal preference, obviously. This doesn't mean it's an awful game at all. So, would I recommend you play Mirror's Edge before you play Mirror's Edge 2? Well, this will be a full recap of the story and everything you need to know. So, evil corporation? Well, the world has been taken over by an evil type of corporation that wants all the runners, the messengers in the world, dead. So this causes Faith to have to message to try to clear your sister's murder, like I said before, and pretty much it's all about saving your sister, which is fine. Not much that you'll need to know for the sequel, though, since the sequel is a pre-sequel. Borderlands pre-sequel. It's a game. It's come out. I might talk about it. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, this whole game is about clearing your name. There's a character called Jackknife, which is clearly met before, which you'll probably explore in the new game, which looks pretty amazing with the new glass effects looking superb, and the running feeling better, and the sound looks just as good as the original. So this game is probably scheduled for release in fall of this year, maybe next year, depending on it showing at E3. They'll probably reveal a release date then. But hopefully there's no multiplayer, so EA can't possibly mess it up, mark my words. So, thanks for watching the video. You can subscribe if you want, you can share it if you want. That would make me pretty happy. I'm Gavin. Oh.